are you seeing a newfound love for the old from the young people? Because I am very excited. I feel like a lot of younger people are really interested in a lot of this. And they're like, wait a second, there's something really special about all of this, about tradition, about the old world. But obviously, we have some other young people who are deranged and believing a trans activist. But the other young people, do you feel like they're kind of drawn to what you're doing?
Yeah, I think there's a revolution happening. I think it's actually connected to a spiritual awakening in America. I think we saw this during Charlie Kirk's funeral as well. Young people in some ways feel ripped off. People in their 20s feel ripped off. Their education, people that went through some of the best schools, went to a great undergraduate degree, sometimes went to graduate school. In fact, the president of our academic board, she went to Yale undergrad, and she said, I realized I wasn't educated until I started homeschooling my own kids, and realized she'd never read Homer. She had never read Dante. She had never read some of the most influential works that shaped Western civilization for thousands of years. So I think there's this great rediscovery that's really happening for the most part outside of the university. I love homeschoolers, these classical schools that are popping up all over the country. And you meet these people, and I want to be careful not to bash public school students. I went to public school. I taught in public schools for years, but you meet these people and you're like, what? It's almost like we forgot that 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds can be like this. I mean, they're eloquent, they're well-spoken, and they genuinely love this treasure, which is the Western intellectual inheritance.
Wow, that is really cool. And what is your suggestion, I guess, to parents who are like, wow, I agree with you, I want to do that. How do they help their kids learn these things? And what if they don't know those things themselves? Do you recommend that they also learn it, or how can people kind of start to go in?
Well, I love, when we've chatted about your own education, you'd say you went to some, kind of progressive schools, but your real education was at home with dad, right? And I think that needs to be the case, regardless if you're homeschooling, sending your kids to public school, sending your kids to private school, right? I love the Catholic Catechism. Parents are the first and primary educators of their children, full stop. And a lot of parents have thought that you can outsource education. You can't. Education is parenting, right? I mean, what is education, right? Every other generation until recently understood education as the cultivation of virtue, right? Growing in virtues like kindness, generosity, self-control. That's parenting. That's the hard work. And there's really no outsourcing, even if the students are spending, 8 to 2:30 at a brick and mortar school somewhere. So I think for parents to re-embrace this, and kids love to see the humility of their parents discovering this tradition with them, and I didn't really discover this tradition myself until I was well into my 20s, and I already had kids at that point. And it's been sometimes through reading like the children's edition of the Iliad and the Odyssey, and discovering these stories together that I think's been a lot of fun. So I'd say, just enjoy the process of being kind of co-learners with them and discovering this great tradition with them.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.